Welcome to the Utah Department of Corrections Family and Friends Orientation. I'm Lieutenant Brendy Werrett, and I'm with the Reentry and Rehabilitation Division. Thanks to everybody for coming. It's a smaller group today, but that's okay. It'll be great. We want you to know that we know this is a really tough time in your guys' lives. It's a lot going on, and so we're hoping to give you some information that will help you to navigate the system, and so maybe it's not so difficult, but we understand it's a really hard time for you. So thank you for being here. We want your incarcerated loved ones to leave incarceration with the knowledge and skills to help them lead successful, crime-free lives. We want to provide you with the information that will assist you in navigating the correctional system and help you support your loved one during this challenging time in yours and their lives. So thanks again for being here. This presentation will give an overview of several areas of the correctional facility: the Board of Pardons and Parole, mail and property, accounting, phones, medical, visiting, and reentry and rehabilitation. We also have staff here from our Central Utah Correctional Facility and Utah Correctional Industries, which is UCI. There's people around at these tables so that you guys, once we're done presenting, you can go and ask your individual questions. So I ask that you hold your questions till the end so that you can just ask your individual questions to the people at the tables. I have pens and paper at the back. If you need to take notes on anything, you're welcome to go grab that, and please grab snacks and drinks as well. There's handouts back there that are for contact information, and UPenn has information as well that they can give you. So thanks UPenn for being here. There's also a sheet at the front where you can provide your email address if you'd like to get a copy of the video and the slide presentation. That's good. And then we have Director Maria Shirey here that's going to open the presentation for us. And then we'll have the Board of Pardons present right after that. They're going to present and then step out into the foyer. They get a lot of questions, so as the presentation is going on, feel free to step out in the hall, and then you can just have your individual discussions with the Board of Pardons. And then the rest, just like I said, hold your questions, and then we'll split off at the end, and you can go to the tables and ask your questions as you'd like. And let's please welcome Director Shirey.
Oh man, they give me such a hard time. Well, I just wanted to say good evening, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you tonight. I am Maria Shirey. I'm one of the Deputy Executive Directors for the department, and one of the many areas that I'm responsible for is stakeholder engagement. And what that really means is just an overly complicated government term, which we love to do, for the person that helps make sure our stakeholders, so the people who are interested in what's happening in the department, get the information that they need, no matter who they are, whether that's a lawmaker, whether that is a part of the victims community, whether it's a business owner, or most importantly, the family members and loved ones of people who are incarcerated. So that is kind of my role and why I'm here tonight. I do just want to start by acknowledging, like Brendy did, how difficult it is to have a loved one in the criminal justice system. It's a very complicated system, and we don't make it any easier because we change a lot. So we know that communication with all of you is really critical, and we are committed to doing that. So tonight really is about offering support, it's about offering clarity, and it's really about offering connection and communication. So whether you are new to this as an experience or whether you have experienced a loved one incarcerated before, we just want to recognize that it takes strength to show up, and we appreciate that you're here tonight. I would say in my roughly 17 years of working in corrections in multiple systems, I really can stand up here and say that Utah is one of the best systems in the country. We have extremely dedicated staff who believe in people's ability to change and grow. They are committed to their work, and we are collectively committed to our mission of working together, transforming lives, and protecting communities. We believe in providing safe environments where people get the services they need to change and grow. And the key to transforming lives really is identifying the services that people need and ensuring the safety of our staff and of your loved ones in doing so. Just over the last several years, we have identified that we didn't always hit the mark when it came to communicating with families. So we have poured a lot of resources and time into making sure that you have the information you need. Tonight is an example of that. So please know that your voice is important, and we do hope that you leave here not only with a better understanding of our system, but also with some connections that you can use to get information when you need it or when there's an issue. Of course, we hope there are no issues, but as they arrive, as they arise, and if they arise, you know who to speak to. So really, again, our goal tonight is just to provide clear information, answer your questions, hopefully help you get some connections in the department, and make sure that you're heard and supported throughout this process. We have an amazing team here, as was referenced. I want to just take a minute to thank all of you for coming here tonight and being part of this very important evening. You are not alone in this journey. We are all here for you, and I just want to once again share my express my appreciation for you showing up tonight. Thanks.
Good evening. Thank you for letting us be here to share some information. There we go. My name is Brittany Carson. I am the Program Director for Public Outreach and Transparency at the Utah Board of Pardons and Parole. I also have some colleagues here, Brett Varos, who's our Chief Hearing Officer, and Amanda Robinson, who's another hearing officer, that are going to jump up here in a minute and help present some information. The board is going to be the place where your loved one comes to, figure out when they're going to get out, what conditions they might get out under, and what all that looks like. The board's created by the Utah Constitution. It has 5 full-time members and 5 part-time members that are appointed by the governor and approved by the Senate. So it's really just kind of the high-level overview. But what I'm going to walk you through right now is our process, so you can kind of understand what's going to happen moving forward with the system. Let's see. Oh, yes. Okay. So first, you guys have been through this part, right? The crime's been committed. The person has been sentenced to prison by a judge. At that point, that's when the Board of Pardons process starts. That individual will then come under our jurisdiction. Usually within the first 6 months, this part here will happen. I'm going to stop pointing because I lose the voice here. So in the first 6 months, we do what's called a scheduling review process. So we take a look at the case, we calculate the guideline, the board may order assessments and treatment that they want to see completed prior to that individual coming to the board for a hearing, and we set a tentative hearing date. So we'll set a tentative month and year for that first hearing with the board. When you come down, institutional behavior is something that can affect whatever those outcomes are with the board. Should somebody commit another crime while they're incarcerated, they're going to go back to that being sentenced by a judge part and start our board process all over again. Once they get to the board hearing, the board will have a vote. So we have 5 members. It takes 3 to make a decision about what's going to happen next. So the board will make those decisions. This is really simplified, but generally if they're going to grant parole or not grant parole. Then you come through that parole process. So should an individual come out on parole, if they have a parole violation, there's multiple routes for them to come back into the system. A lower level offense, AP&P agents have the ability to use sanctions and other things without going back to prison, to try to help modify behavior. There could be a full violation that's going to come back, and you're going to start back at this board hearing. And if a new crime is committed, you're going to go back to that very beginning part, being sentenced by a judge. I know that this is our most simplified way of talking about our process, and we know that it's still really complicated. It's like they said, we'll be out in the hallway for any of those questions. But I'm going to turn it over to Brett to talk about how we calculate time.
Happy to be here tonight. Luckily for you all, I only have 1 slide to talk about, so you'll have to put up with me for just a little bit. Brittany kind of touched on the scheduling review. That's when your loved one is committed to prison. That scheduling review will happen for every individual. And there are really 3 kind of main components to that. The first is we have specific staff that do what is called our credit for time served. And I skipped to the 3rd one there because that kind of starts things. And what that involves is our case analyst review court records, AP&P reports, everything to determine what, if any, credit the individuals are entitled to receive. And what that credit does is the next part. It does 2 things. Say if someone is committed to prison for 0 to 5 years, and they come in, and your expiration date is going to be 5 years from the day they're sentenced to prison. If they're granted, say, a year's credit for time served, that's going to move that expiration date a year sooner, right? And then the second part of that is that year credit will also move when the board calculates their guideline. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But when they calculate that, that year credit also moves the start date of when that guideline is calculated from. Okay, so not only is it impacting their expiration date, which is, you know, how long the board has jurisdiction, but it's also going to move and impact the guideline date. Guidelines are, they can be complicated. We use the same guideline that APMP uses, but ours can be more complex because we may be doing it on a number of cases. We may even, our guideline may involve multiple forms, different forms for different offenses, and then they get combined into one. If you have specific questions on that, again, it's a pretty common question we get regarding guidelines. We'll be happy to answer those. Say if someone has 5 offenses that they're committed to prison on, when the matrix is done, the board's going to determine what is the most serious offense. That's going to be the lead offense. That'll get 100% of the guideline, right? And then for each of the remaining charges, if it's concurrent, there'll be a 10% of what the guideline is for that offense that gets added to it. And if an offense is ordered consecutive, it'll be a 40% of the guideline score that gets added. And again, if you have specific questions, either now or in the future, you're always welcome to either write or call the board, and we can clarify that. Okay. Again, this is an important component. It's done on every individual that's committed to prison, these steps. And again, it establishes, most important in my view, is the expiration date and how long the board has jurisdiction. Okay. I will turn it over to Amanda, so whoever's got the clicker.
I'm so happy to be here to be able to talk about some of our processes. As mentioned, it's a very confusing process. The board is very unique, but plays such an important role in your loved one's time there. To go kind of along what Brett was saying, one of our biggest questions that we get is when somebody is sentenced, oftentimes the court will order a pre-sentence report to be done prior to sentencing. And along with that PSI or pre-sentence report is a matrix. Oftentimes individuals get confused because they're going off of that matrix or the guideline from what that matrix is referring to. Just really important to know that when the court orders that pre-sentence report and APMP completes that for the court pre-sentencing, that matrix is for that one case. However, when the board is calculating their matrix, they're taking a full view of everything that's involved with your loved one and calculates a guideline that way. I'd honestly say that's probably one of the biggest concerns that we get, because people are often confused when they receive our matrix that it differs from what the pre-sentence report one indicates. But as my colleagues have mentioned, we'll be out in the foyer. If you guys have any individual questions, we can go over with your loved ones to help vet any of that info out.
So the last thing we're going to go over is structured decision-making framework, and we're just going to hit this really high level, but we think it's really important for everyone to know. This is the framework. It's an evidence-based framework that the board makes all of its decisions based on. So they take into account a totality of the case. They look at risk-related domains like their criminal history and their supervision history, risk assessments, any of the other assessments provided, as well as like the offender change and their institutional behavior. They also look at these sort of policy-related domains, which are victim considerations, statutory things that are happening, as well as kind of the community, looking at that broader picture, what were the effects of the crime on the community. So the board tries to take a really broad look at the entirety of that individual and their case when they're making a decision. And so all of our decisions are based on that. And then with that, this is our contact info. All board decisions are posted on our website, so you'll be able to kind of track any decision that the board is making about that person. When you come online and look up their number, any board decision, whether it's the a special attention review on something or the scheduling review process or the actual decisions after a hearing, they're all going to be there. And you are welcome to call us or email us anytime. We're happy to try to talk people through this process. We understand. And again, we'll be out in the hallway. So thank you so much for your time.
Okay. My name is Annalie Carlson, and I'm over mail and property. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about mail and then property. When your loved one comes into the prison, you can start writing them immediately. Mail is delivered to every inmate every workday. Right now, we have a third-party company. It's called Pigeonly, and they're out of Vegas. You will send your mail to Vegas. If the address isn't up there, it will be. Vegas will scan your mail and then send us back a copy of it. They will send back a copy of the envelope and a copy of the mail and pictures. We will review it, and inmates will receive that mail or it will be denied. If it's denied, we will send a form to them and tell them why it's denied. And we'll send a form back to you telling you why it was denied. If you send original photos, you'll have to write to Pigeonly to reclaim the original photos. We don't get the original photos. Okay? Let me just tell you a little bit about photos. I don't know if it's in here. Let's see. So the second page, it gives you the address. It's very important when you write to Pigeonly that you put the number, Utah State Correctional Facility number 1700. If you're in Gunnison, it's 1701. That is the number of the facility. If you don't put that number on the envelope, it'll go right back to you because they have to have that number to know what facility to send your mail to. Very important. It's also very important to have the inmate's name and their number. Without those three items, your mail will be returned. Mail goes, like I said, we pick up mail from inmates every day and send it to the post office. We deliver mail to inmates every workday also. So when we get it, they should get it the next day. The inmates can have photos. There are some restrictions on photos. Inmates cannot have anything that's sexually explicit, anything about gangs, and they can't have pictures of inmates. So if you're sending a photo and your loved one's in it that's incarcerated, that mail will be returned. So please don't send a picture of the inmate. They can have pictures of the family, just not them. Pigeonly, we started using Pigeonly in January 6th. And at first, it seemed like it took quite a while to get the mail back to us. It's been very quick lately. So when we get it, they will get it the next day. So you send it to them, within 2 or 3 days, they send it to us, and then your inmate will get it the next day. Okay. And I'm sure you have questions about mail. Mail is very, very important. Another thing I just wanted to say, if an inmate is indigent and they don't have money for stamps, once a week, they can send out mail to their loved ones. Okay, so every inmate is able to send mail out at least once a week. So if he doesn't have money to purchase an envelope and paper, he can still send out at least one a week. Okay, the next item is property. Every inmate that comes into the prison should have some property that needs to be picked up. Property needs to be picked up within 30 days after they come. To pick up property also, you need to make an appointment. Appointments, we're here Monday through Friday, 7 to 5. And it takes about 10 minutes to pick up property. Once you're there, it takes, my staff come and bring the property down to you. You need to have a proper ID, which is a state ID or a driver's license or a passport. And you sign it, and then you check and make sure everything's in the package, and then you can go. But appointment, trying to see if it, yes, there's a phone number there for you to call also to make this appointment. We'll be glad to give you directions on how to get there. Let's see. The inmates, one thing inmates get to pick about property is they get to decide who picks up their property. That's another reason why it's very good to call, to make sure it's ready so you can save a trip, and your name is on it. I don't think the slide talks about this very much, but there are a few things that family friends can send to inmates. One of them is sometimes your family may need prescription glasses. If they need prescription glasses, you can go to a vendor and have the glasses mailed in by the vendor. Inmates can't have red glasses or blue glasses or multicolored glasses. Another thing that every inmate is allowed is a wedding band. You're welcome to go to a vendor, pick out a wedding band. It must be plain, no ridges or stones, no red or blue or multicolor, plain, but it will mean a lot to them. And then you have the vendor send it to them, and we go to every facility once a week. Okay, let's see. Books. The big question we have is about books. Can I send my loved one a book? Inmates have the opportunity to purchase their own books. Family and friends can't purchase books for them. You can subscribe to magazines for them if you'd like. Every inmate's allowed to have 10 magazines. They again have to come from the vendor, so you subscribe to them. If an inmate needs a book and it's not available from the vendors they have, they can, or if it's a religious or legal book, they can order it from another vendor. So we try to make sure they have access to every legal and religious book they need. Okay. I think that's all. If you have any questions, please stop by and chit chat with me. Thank you.
My name is John Capel. I'm with Inmate Accounting. I have been with the Department of Corrections and Inmate Accounting for 35 years, so it's been a long time. We've seen great changes in the organization. When your loved one comes here, what we do is we take their money. We'll take their money, we'll open an account for them in their name with their number, and we deposit it in the bank, in Zion's Bank. Now, your loved ones can receive money three ways. One is from you guys, by sending money in, friends and family. We ask that you send it in, but not exorbitant, not huge amounts. They don't need a huge amount, because sometimes that'll cause a safety concern. We also encourage the inmates can get money through jobs. We encourage them to get a job. The jobs are inside the prison. Some of them are actually, they learn skills such as the print shop, such as making license plates, etc. We're highly encouraged. They're paid once a month for their employment. The government agencies will also send money in, such as U.S. Treasury, IRS, Department of Veteran Affairs, and then if you're from the Ute tribe, they'll send money in also. Now, how do you get the money to us? There's two options. First is we have a third vendor called Access Corrections. And will go on record, Access Corrections has been a very good company. They were just, over the Memorial Day weekend, they were just subject to a cyber attack. It's up and running now. We had a few days where there was no money coming in, so we apologize if that caused an inconvenience for people, but it's working now. My hair wasn't gray till this weekend, until that happened. So you can mail in a money order. We got the address here where it's to the post office box in St. Louis. However, we feel the better way to do it is just go online to do it. or by telephone. The telephone number I don't know if it's on there now. It's 1-636-888-7004, and they have a live agent, and they'll speak multiple languages if you ask. The best way, though, is to go online with www.accesscorrections.com. And you can do that. You can do it through your phone, online. They'll ask for what state you're in. They'll ask for the inmate name and the inmate number. It's important to have the right number because there's a lot of John Smiths in the prison. You don't want to put on the wrong account. For those transactions, it's $6.95 per transaction for either the phone or online. Now, if you're at the prison visiting, we have that kiosk, which is the picture right there. You can put money on there. For that, it's only it's only $3.95. That will take cash. It will not take anything smaller than a $5 bill. So you could put the money on there and it'll go on their account. We stress that you do not send any. Oh, let me go back. If you don't want to use Access Corrections, you can send a money order to us. We have a paper over there that shows you what we need. On the money order, we need your name, or the offender's name and number, and the sender's name and address. We like that on there, so that way when they get their inmate statement, they can see who sent the money. They can maybe write you a thank you note or do whatever. That's another way to do it. That came in handy while Access Corrections was down, so we appreciate it that way. All that cost is the cost to get a money order. Let's see. We stress that you do not send any funds directly to the Gunnison prison, to the Salt Lake prison, they call it Draper still, or to Pigeon Lee in Las Vegas. If you send it to Pigeon Lee in Las Vegas, you're going to have a hard time getting it back. Now, you're wondering, why do the inmates need money? What do they use it for? Well, inmates have access to the commissary. They can get commissary order once a week from UCI, where they can order things such as maybe some snacks, because sometimes the meals, something to tie them over. They can get pens, personal hygiene items, etc. That order happens once a week. Also, we have the phone service through GTL, and they'll talk about it later. Inmates from their account can do $25 at a time on their account. That way, if they pay $25, if they use that $25 that morning, they can put another $25 on their account if they have it. That way, they can call as much as they want. We just limit the amount they can put on at a time. The other things they can, and then a lot of times the inmates send money out to help support family. They can buy things, certain things by sending things out, get books, etc. But you'd be surprised how much money we have where inmates go back and help donate and help the family out, and it's great to see that. While they're here, they do have other costs though, essential items such as medical charges. If there's a medical charge, first of all, they will not be denied any medical procedure if they don't have money. They will still see the visit, get that taken care of. For co-pays, $2 for a prescription, $5 for a doctor visit. So it's not a bad rate, but like I said, they don't have money, they will still get it. We take money if they misbehave and they're fined. So tell your loved ones to behave themselves, follow the orders, they won't get fined. They must pay those. And then transportation, if they have to go to attend a court hearing, the inmate's responsible for $63. Now, like I said, inmates, they can't pay it all the time. So what we do is we can take up to 60% of their money to help pay for that, to pay for their medical charges. Now, if they owe lots of medical charges and have a lot of fines, we will stop at $15. Once their balance hits $15, we will stop. We'll leave them some money so they can, if they need to buy something, essentially from the commissary. But they will stop at $15. So let's see. And like I said, 60% of the money we'll take, and that comes from the current balance, from payroll and incoming receipts. There are ORS lien levies and garnishments for child support. We will not take money from that account only if it's payroll. Because why should we take, you're sending money into your loved one's account and you might be helping with their kids. That'd be a double whammy for you guys. So we don't do that, only on payroll that they earn from their job here. And if you get a lien levy, that's something where ORS, they take everything but $5 for a certain amount of time. And those are nasty. We don't get too many of those, but that is a possibility. If your loved one wants to file a lawsuit or a court action, they're asked to do filing fees. The court usually orders us to garnish 20% of the inmate's payroll only for that. So that too will only be touched by inmate payroll. Last but not least, tuition fees. Inmates can sign promissory notes when they enroll in classes or courses provided by the programming department. These notes are then sent to inmate accounting and are recorded as debts in the inmate's account. They have 2 years after they're discharged to pay them off. We have some forms over here. Gladly help you to answer any questions. But we're here to help the inmates and help them to hopefully contribute back to paying off their debt and help paying for you guys. So I'll be over there. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Roger McFarland. I'm one of the assistant directors of nursing out at the prison. So out at the prison, medical services, correctional health services, we're actually employed by the Department of Health and Human Services and contracted to corrections to take care of the medical problems of the inmates. Out there, we have medical, dental, mental health, and optometry, and coordinate all those services. If your inmate needs something from any of those services, they just need to put in a healthcare request. There's a paper request that they can put in, and it says, I want to see the doctor, I want to see the dentist, and then somebody comes and sees them the next day to find out what it's about. They can also do that on the tablets electronically, so that they make sure that that gets in. Our nursing staff is there 24/7. There's always somebody there. There's a charge nurse, a couple of other nurses, EMTs. During the day, we have CNAs, MAs, all of that to help take care of the needs. We have several doctors, physician's assistants to take care of all the medical needs that they have. And I believe our website's up there, dhhsutah.gov/CHS. So you might have a couple of questions like, how do I get access to my incarcerated loved one's medical records while they're there? So there's two ways of doing that. One, the inmate can put in a grammar request and send that to medical records. And unless they're indigent, then they have to provide blank money transfer to help cover the costs of the copying. I think it's like 25 cents a page or something like that. And then the records will be sent to the family member that they indicate on the form, and they pay for that service. The other way is the family can submit a records request using a system called GovQA. I haven't ever used it, so I don't know what it looks like. A power of attorney or an offender signed authorization form is required for you to get those records, and there's no fee for family members to use that request. So, little different there. What do you do if you think your loved one is involved in an incident? So you may heard through the grapevine that there was an altercation or something, and we take care of them. If we have to send them out, we send them out, but we will contact you when it's appropriate and let you know that something happened. So when everything's taken care of and security is handled, then we will let you know. But we'll only let you know if there is a release of information form signed. So that kind of brings us to the last question is, how do I learn more about my loved one's medical condition? And I'll get to the other one. Upon arrival, they're given, offered a limited power of attorney. and they can designate one person to find out about their medical condition. You can find about their dental and their medical stuff, but not their mental health or their drug rehab condition. And that one person is designated until they withdraw the permission. And that person can call our family helpline and they'll identify you that you are the person that's designated, and then they'll give you the information that you need. But it's only one person at a time, and that is the only person that they can talk to. She can only help you out with medical stuff, so don't call her and ask her about traded housing or something else that's going on. But they do their best to help you out. And if you're not the one that's on the form and you call, they can't help you, because how do they know that that's who they're talking to? And we take our personal health information very seriously out of the prison, and we don't share it with anybody that we are not able to do that legally. So don't call if you don't have that authorization. That authorization is also the person that will call if something happens and we've had to send them out and they come back, then we will call the responsible individual that's named there. What information will you have to access on the signed release? Again, you'll have access to all the medical and dental records, but no access to the substance use or mental health information. So, we wouldn't talk to you about their Suboxone program or anything like that, the MAD or MOUDs, and the mental health. So that's pretty much what I have. I'll be over here if you have questions, and come see me. Thank you.
Hello, I am Kristen Fossen. I have been with inmate phones at the Utah State Prison for 10 years now. We are contracted through the state, just like medical is. I work for Viapath and have been with the state with Viapath for the last 3 years. Let me get to the right spot. Okay, how do I get a call from my loved ones? When the inmates first get to the facility, they will be taken through some orientation, and one of them is how to fill out a request form. Every number or that an inmate wants to call, they have to fill out a paper. It will have the phone number, the first and last name, the relationship to the inmate, and then also that's it. They have to have those items on it. They have to have their name at the top of the paper, their inmate number. As long as it's filled out correctly, I will get it. It will go through, it will get approved, and it will get accepted and then sent back to the inmate so that they know that they're able to call those numbers. They can keep that paper for their records. This takes around 2 weeks, depending on mail or when they put it in the mail or when the mail gets picked up at their facility or when I get it and get it back in the mail as well. While this is happening and the inmate is getting your numbers approved, you can do a couple things. And one would be setting up a prepaid phone account. The inmates are able to pay for someone has to pay for each phone call. They can do it a couple different ways. The family members can set up an account with advanced pay. Am I on that? Yeah, maybe. Should wait. Just sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah, skip it. You can set up an account with connectnetwork.com. You go to create an account. You can put money on the inmate's account. So when they call you, it just comes off of yours. You might have multiple inmates in the facility. That account isn't linked to a specific inmate. It's linked to your phone number. I believe you can add other people's number on there that the inmate can call that comes out of your account that you have for them, or the inmate can take money out of their commissary, like accounting was saying, and they can take up to $25 out of their commissary at a time and make a call that way by using that. There's pros and cons with doing it each way. If you're paying for a phone call and he's using it to buy items that you would rather him not buy and you want him to use that money to call you, make it a prepaid phone account. If you don't mind having him use that money for other things, like that works well too, to have it on the the accounting side of things. That's the thing right up there, connectnetwork.com. And yes, okay. Some questions we get sometimes is, can I call an inmate? No. Inmates can only call out. How much do calls cost? They are 10 cents a minute local and 19 cents a minute long distance. Every once in a while, you'll get a call like my inmate was able to call me and now they're not able to call me. If there's not been anything that you think might be a reason for that, it could be that a global spam blocker has been put on your phone from your provider. Every once in a while, Verizon will update their stuff. A lot of times it is T-Mobile does this a lot. Even if you've removed this in the past, it comes back when they do updates. It's to prevent telemarketers calling your phone, and where all the numbers are routed through the facility, they show up on your caller ID as one number. Sometimes the phone carriers think that it is a telemarketer and it will refuse the call without it coming to you. So you would just call your phone provider and ask that they remove a global spam block off of that. The numbers that will be called, one's from Gunnison and one's from Salt Lake, are those numbers at the bottom of that screen. So if you want to save those or go put those in your phone under your inmate's name, then when that number comes up, you'll know that they are the ones calling you. If you have any more questions, you can come talk to me after. Thanks.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight. I'm Sergeant Brian Strong. I've worked at the Department of Corrections for 15 years now. I'm one of the sergeants over visiting. So I'm one of the people that help you guys get to come and see your loved ones. So you'll become pretty familiar with me. Some of you guys I already recognize from having seen. So I'll get started right away. You'll see some web emails, website addresses and stuff up there. You'll really want to become familiar with the department's website, corrections.utah.gov, with the links, family and friends, visitation information. All the links for visitation and visiting are on that page. That's the applications, the scheduling, the calendars, the scheduling, and everything all are linked all on that page. All the rules, everything all come on that page. Go ahead and click. There's the copy of the application that you see. I have brought some applications. So after you want to come and talk to me or get an actual copy of an application, you can come pick one up. I can walk you through the necessary things that need to be filled out and answer any questions on the application that you might have. One of the main questions that I always get on the phone calls is how long until my loved ones can have a visit. So first place that they go to is what they call R&O, is receiving an orientation. That's a area in the facility where it's a behavioral observation area, and they're allowed to have one visit a month there. And that process, as soon as you guys can get approved, which generally takes about a 2-week process to get approved on the applications now, you can start to have a video visit there. They're only allowed to have video visitation there, and they're not allowed to have in-person visits until they reach population. And on this slide here, there's a lot of confusing benefits, the privilege matrix on how many visits they're allowed. Once general population, they go right to the max visits. And so they get maximum benefits and privileges. and only by misbehaving do they lose privileges. So you can always contact us, and we have a secretary that answers the phone during business hours, and after business hours, usually one of the sergeants is answering the phones and emails. There's an email account on the website as well that we answer questions to. There's a pretty lengthy, you can get minors to visit. Grandparents can bring minors of incarcerated individuals to visit them. It's a pretty lengthy application process. It's not super complicated. There's quite a few questions. But if you do have questions, feel free to come and ask me that. But that's available. There are some limitations for some of the offenders that have various crimes, and I can explain those to you individually. How to submit a visit request. So there's a couple of ways that you can do it. Once you go on that website, there is an online application process that you can fill out, and it'll prompt you to send in all the proper documentation along with it, like your copies of your driver's licenses and stuff. And if you're filling out, including minor requests, it'll ask for copies of birth certificates and stuff like that. Or you can just scan them and email them. You can print a copy of the application and scan or send photos of that stuff into us through the email account that's listed along the way. Once you get your approval back, one of the key things you want to do, you'll receive an email for your approval. One of the really most important things is you're approved for both in-person visits and video visits. That's an automatic. We set up a video visitation account for you. So one of the things you want to make sure you do is save your email, your approval email, because that has your video visiting login information that comes with it and the link to the website. And that's not on that information. I'm going to have that added for the next time. I noticed that wasn't included. So I'll make sure that gets added. And that's the easiest way to get logged in for the video visit. So we do want to, if you are doing the video visits, we request that you log in 15 minutes ahead of time and are ready for the video visit. And the video visits are 30 minutes, and that's regulated by Thrive, the company that actually runs the system. So we have no control over that at all. And inmates are only allowed to have one 30-minute video visit per day. And that cost is absorbed by the prison itself. That's one of the reasons they're restricted to that. Again, if you have any other questions about video visits and stuff, I can answer those over there. I'll go into a little bit more detail about in-person visiting because there's a little bit of some of the rules about in-person visits. You want to make sure that you arrive 30 minutes prior to the scheduled time of the visit. And we ask you that so that we have plenty of time to get checked in. It's quite a lengthy process. And for anybody that's been there and had a visit, you see that it takes us quite a while to go through the screening process and the check-in process. There's quite a few people. We can have up to 60 visitors in any one session because I have 3 visiting areas going every day. So also, you want to make sure that you're aware of all the rules. There's dress codes that are online. I have a set of the dress codes with me that you're welcome to have a copy of. And then there are actual visiting rules that are online that you can read and become familiar with. Some of Some of the more standard or harder dress code violations that we have are in the summertime. A lot of people like to wear sleeveless tops, low cut tops, short shorts, short skirts, various things like that. So we have a modest dress requirement. So everything has to touch the knees, skirts, shorts, and that have to touch the knees. We require sleeves, modest bust line tops, no tears in the pants above the knees. So any jeans or anything that have slits cut in them from the manufacturers are not allowed if they're above the knees, those kind of things. You'll also notice that it says yoga style pants. So that's all leggings, all stretchy pants, jeggings, all those, where you have to kind of include all that stuff in there. And one of the big ones, you'll be turned away at the screening process is open-toed shoes. It's a safety hazard. Flip-flops, sandals, anything open-toed shoes are not allowed. So make sure that you're wearing closed-toed shoes, okay? And then some of the basic visiting room rules, there's no physical contact during the visit itself. We do a very brief hug and brief kiss at the beginning. There's no open mouth kissing, obviously, or anything like that. No extended hugging or excessive or extended lingering hugs are not permitted. And those, along with open mouth kissing, can lead to suspensions from visitation. There are drinks available that you can buy for the offenders, and those are not allowed to be shared between visitors and offenders. You can buy one beverage for the offender and one for the visitor, and not share them. And we do ask that you take the lids off and place them on the counter of the officer's desk before the offenders arrive. And then the drinks are not allowed to be removed from the building. And that's pretty much it. Okay, thanks. Brandy's over there going, wrap it up, wrap it up, wrap it up. Okay, thanks. Go ahead, Mom. I lost your place.
I'm Captain Josh Ma. I've been with the department for the last 22 years, and currently I'm over the inmate placement program. So one of the questions we get is, if my loved one was sentenced to prison, why are they being sent back to a county jail? We do that for quite a few different reasons. One of them is just to help with our bed space. So we prevent overcrowding. They're not just jammed into places where the facilities weren't meant to be. It helps with safety for the staff, safety for the offenders, so that everybody's got an appropriate place to live and to stay while they're there. Some of the other reasons why we use the county jail system is we can offer more programming throughout the state. As you see here, we've got 1,600 offenders throughout the counties. So Utah has 29 counties, and we use 20 of the jails throughout the state. There's about 5 counties that don't even have jails, and then the other ones are kind of those big metropolitan, Salt Lake, they don't need extra people. They got their own problems with it. So the additional programming, if you can kind of go to our next one here, and some of the options, the things that happen here. Each of the county jails have an assigned case manager, and they'll kind of get into what the case manager's duties are and what they do within the prison. Same thing happens in the jails. They're going to meet with them as soon as they get there. Ideally, they're going to meet them as they get dropped off in the booking area of the jail. They're going to meet with them, kind of go over the lay of the land, so they understand how to communicate, how to get with them, what opportunities are available at that specific facility. And then they're going to meet with them minimally every 90 days after that. And then obviously as often as needs to be. But minimally, they're going to be checked on every 90 days to make sure they're still, everything's going okay. They're doing what they need to do. They'll kind of help them with their case action plan so that they know they've got a plan set out for them. They can help them be successful, and then also help them with their reentry plan back into the community. So those case managers live in that same community, wherever that jail might be. So if they get sent to, say, Vernal, our case manager lives in Vernal. So they live out there. They go to the jail every day, things like that. And then same with our medical. Just because they're in a county facility, they're still going to see state medical. Mental health, dental, all that stuff is still accessible and they've got access to it. The next one down just shows we've got about 70 of our offenders that are working outside the communities with gate passes, doing different things, learning different skills, earning a little bit higher wage in some of these jobs that they've got. And then the access to the different things, it varies by jail, but they've got access to religious services and programming. Everything's kind of different depending on where they're at. Some of our jails we use maybe only hold 10 people. And then Beaver County is our largest one, is up to 360 offenders there. So it's kind of all ranges all across the board there. And then next. So some of the programs that we offer, we'll just kind of go over some of the successes we had over the last year. As you can kind of see, we had 97 people graduate high school last year. 272 completed their substance use treatment. 68 completed sex offender. And so it may not seem like huge numbers, but if they were in the prisons, they would still be waiting to services and get to those programs. So we're able to kind of expedite people getting to these classes and programs that they need. And then the bottom picture there, this just happened probably about 2 weeks ago. This was a graduation ceremony we had at the Duchesne County Jail. They had a vocational trades program graduation. This is where they learned building trades. So they built homes, a modular home that got craned into the community there for a family that was in need because their house, I think, burned down or something on that one. But they've earned a certificate. So they're learning plumbing, electrician, all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of IPP, as we call it, in a nutshell. And then if you have any questions, I'll just be over there in the corner. Thanks, guys.
Okay, management first. Okay. Hi, my name's Sarah McGillis. I am with one of the best teams at the prison. I know everyone here provides great services and that helps your loved ones once they're there, but reentry and rehabilitation is what we do. So it's pretty exciting because once they come in, rehabilitation's already starting. We're already working what they're going to need to do, and once they see the board, then that's when the plan really gets going. So we can help them with all kinds of things when they're there. So I want to start by just showing you a little video. Is that okay? Just play a little video that we usually play at the orientation just to kind of let you know what's to be expected. So we'll play that first.
As I leave this place, I think back on my time here at Utah State Prison.
It's a time for many of us when we were at our lowest in life.
Reentry began the moment I entered here. I was processed, assessed, and ultimately given programs to aid in my rehabilitation.
Caseworkers, medical professionals, and corrections officers helped me to understand my shortcomings.
Life skills, emotional management, and ways to beat my addictions were all tools that aided me in becoming a better father, son, friend, and community member.
Like others within this facility, I was offered educational opportunities.
A high school diploma, associate's or bachelor's degree, or a vocational degree in auto mechanics, culinary arts, or even welding.
I developed marketable skills while working in fields such as manufacturing, data entry, and digital design.
As time passed and my release approached, I met with a reentry team
They eased some of the stress and fear I have about reentering the community.
They took the time to identify resources such as that can help me access healthcare, housing, and job placement.
They helped me practice my interviewing skills, build my resume, and even identified a career that fits me and who I am. I may start my release in a community correctional center.
Or I'll release on parole supervision, where agents ensure that I have the resources and support I need.
In addition, I will follow a case action plan that may include educational classes, home visits, and meetings at a treatment resource center.
As part of the reentry stability process, I will rely on my friends and family in ways that may never have happened before.
I will need them to be supportive without enabling me to relapse into old ways that led me here in the first place.
Thanks to the opportunities I received, I leave this facility today
Never planning to return.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you what our duties are. We do case management, but we're service providers, individual service providers. Each of us will have a caseload. They're from Gunnison or Utah State Correctional Facility. So each of us will have a caseload, and each client on our caseload will have different needs, right? Different things that they need to accomplish. For instance, if they haven't graduated high school, we'll get them working on that. We do have high school. We do have graduations. We take their picture. They get a cap and gown. We help them with all that. Classes are big with us, and they're big with the board. So anything that they can get into is really good, and we'll help with that. We also act as a liaison between your loved one and yourselves. You can call us. We can give you what information we can. You can be a part of their case action plan and, push them forward when you're talking to them or visiting with them, letting them know what's important. And I mean, we really are proud of, a lot of them make a big difference and they're proud of themselves too. So that helps when they get out in the community. We do the release and discharge planning. And we do a ton of assessments, so multiple assessments to determine different things. And we can even help lower their risk scores if they have strengths in certain areas and they have some areas that are more weaknesses than strengths, like substance abuse or something like that. We can really work on that with our other partners to bring that weakness into a strength. So we work with mental health, medical, custody. We really run the whole gamut literally to make sure they're successful. And with the release process, it's not like releasing of old, it's not an address and they just leave. We want them to be successful. We really bring everything into it. Yes, an address is great, or a treatment center, something like that. We also have them meet with mental health if they need to, or if they have medical needs, we'll get those taken care of before they even leave so that they can get it going. I mean, sometimes people have issues and then they're off medications for a while or something, and then that can set them up for all kinds of problems. So we work with all of them, and we work with custody too. So, and I know Lieutenant Moss at IPP has a lot of opportunities, but we have a lot of opportunities as well at the prison. We have classes. They can earn all kinds of certificates for welding, automotive. Davis Technical College is one of our big partners. Once they've got that high school diploma, they can earn a degree. They can earn respect in themselves and just feel really confident. And when they get out, they may even have job opportunities, and we can help them with employment as well. So that's pretty much on R&R, what we do. And I'm going to move on to education. I'm actually going to speak for our education partner, Kenzie Jones, who couldn't be here, and show you what we're offering for education and rehabilitation. So anything you see here talking about, or you see anything on the screen, or reentry and rehabilitation specialists can help them with too. Okay, so we can answer questions, things like that. There's a couple of reasons why they need their education, and their high school diploma makes them 2 times more likely to stay out of prison, and job certifications make them 3 times more likely to stay out of prison. So the more you learn, the better your chances. We mentioned some education programs, high school diplomas or GED. If they don't want to do the packets or they just want to take the test, it's graded on a curve, which is really good because the students out nowadays, sometimes, the years are lower, so it's easier to get it sometimes. I'm just saying, sometimes that happens. We have English speaking classes, ESL, learn to speak English literacy, and college and career readiness. And we also work with CASAS testing for education, so we'll find out where everyone is on their level before we just throw them into high school or before we throw them into classes. We can work with them and do prep courses and things so that they build that confidence so that they can get their high school diploma. Some of our college partners are listed up there. So like Community College, Snow College, UPEP, Ensign, USU. Also, there are a few programs to help them with grants and things like that that we've been working on a little bit. So, and then we can, get them the FAFSA application for college programs. Lots of technical training. Culinary arts is really, really big. They make delicious food there, and they love it. Everybody loves it. So if they want to be, a cook, they want to work be a chef, we offer that too, and graphic design and IT. And then the Gunnison, the CUCF, provides Snow College building trades and culinary arts. We do have classes that are listed now. I want to if you want to take a picture of the classes, go ahead. Two of the classes listed up there are cognitive behavioral therapy classes, and the board, when they give them a date, usually they'll say, your date can be contingent upon you completing that MRT or completing that thinking for a change. So if they can get in those, the sooner the better, because then they've already got that done. It's about 8 to 12 weeks, depending. They get those ones done and they have nothing to worry about. So any classes they can get into are great. A couple of our newer ones are the 7 Habits on the Inside, which is really popular, and Unlock Your Thinking and Open Your Mind. I work in the Antelope facility, which is maximum security, and we even offer classes there. So you can only imagine what they have out in general population. For the women and the men, they just have a ton. There's classes going all the time. I think we have classes 5 days a week, sometimes 6. Sometimes 6 we have things going on. And I think that's it for release and reentry and education. So thank you for coming. And then if you have questions for release or reentry or education, I have Kenzie's information, and so does Brendy, if you guys want to get that from us. And then if you have more questions on that. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Bart Mortensen. I'm chief over the Reentry and Rehabilitation Division. I thought I seen Chief Honey. Well, I'll pull him up and embarrass him here in just a minute. Brandy asked me to close tonight and allow you guys to go ask questions. Chief Honey, I just want to have you come up. Yeah. He started the clapping for the night, so. This is Chief Honey. We've been co-leading the Reentry and Rehabilitation Initiative for the last few months. Chief Honey manages mostly institutional operations, and I manage mostly community operations. Really, to close out, I kind of have 2 thoughts, and then we'll just let it go. And one is, if you look around the room, and Liam, it would be awesome for the viewers to just look around the room and see the level of commitment from the staff of the Department of Corrections and our stakeholders in the community and the Board of Pardons. Everybody here tonight to answer your questions and to present are here after regular business hours, and most are on their own dime, and really this just gives me a great sense of gratitude towards the level of commitment for the people in the Department of Corrections. And then the second thought is also looking around the room. You're not alone, and your loved one's not alone. You have a very committed and devoted team to help us accomplish our ultimate mission, and that is true reintegration back into the community, where we can have safer communities and productive loved ones. So with that, thank you. Thanks, Brendy.
I want to say one thing. Thank you all for being here. I've been doing this just over 20 years, and it really, the family support and support from the outside is monumental. So just thank you for doing that. And please come ask us questions. So thank you.